This particular piece of research is looking at corporate foundations across the globe because that's where our clients are, and we have a long-standing interest in this issue. Many of our clients are corporate foundations or have foundations or are thinking about setting up a foundation, and this has been our opportunity to look at what the global issues may be.
For me, the benefits of having a foundation are that it brings extra clarity and structure to how you engage with funded organisations. It is of course possible to do that without a foundation, but for me it makes it very clear that we are slightly standalone to the organisation, that our governance is very clear, and I think it enhances the relationship that you have with NGOs, that they feel that you are slightly separate to the company itself.
I'd say that the benefits of establishing a foundation for a corporation, that it provides separation and clarity, so they can, if you like, create a vehicle which can deliver against their objectives of good corporate citizenship. There's also benefit from the potential recipients in the voluntary sector of charities who are looking for funding and looking to build long-standing partnerships within the corporate sector. It means that there's one destination to go to. Often it's a problem for a charity to find out who's the right person to speak to in a major corporation or brand.
Yeah, some of the challenges that the companies were facing, I think with the foundation comes obviously a framework, and for some, particularly in specific sectors, there was almost an inflexibility that comes with that framework. So within a very kind of fast-moving, dynamic business environment, for some the foundation wasn't the right approach. Whilst for others, they had managed to develop the foundation along with the business, and in itself it was a kind of dynamic and evolving process.
There are challenges to having a corporate foundation. Some of those I think we talked about today, about the resource-heavy side, I think, of running what is a separate organisation. You keep separate accounts. You report things in an additional way to what you're already doing as a company. I think those things are all still worth it. I think you also have to be very clear about the impact that you're having and who you're accountable to. It's something that Amanda just talked about, in that in some ways your accountability isn't as clear as when you're a traditional part of the business. And so I think you have to self-check quite a lot to be sure that you're on track with what your original objectives are. In terms of what we look to achieve, we are a standalone foundation, but our strategy is aligned with the sort of goals of the company in terms of helping those who are most vulnerable, and aligned with the company's ethos around skills development and healthy communities. So we're aligned, but separate too.
So some of the conclusions that came out of the research, the corporate foundation model is obviously one that is still very popular and is proving to be very successful in terms of either a sole mechanism through which a company gives, or probably more commonly a part of a suite of tools, a dashboard of tools that the company is using. And we also found, I think, there is a new model emerging. One is that it's far more strategic, far more progressive. These leading foundations are really starting to drive the agenda as opposed to respond to it.
How did I find today's event? I found it very, very useful because it was an opportunity to to listen to what were the most up-to-date trends in corporate foundations, how it relates to developing CR trends, and listen to what other people in the corporate sector had to say. So from me, being from the charitable sector and in general being a recipient rather than a provider of funding, it gave me a good strategic overview that I don't think I would have got anywhere else.
The event this morning was really helpful. It's always useful to be together in a room with like-minded people who have an interest in how corporate foundations work, whether they already have a corporate foundation, are thinking about having one, or work completely differently. I think everybody in this space is bringing value to the conversation. It was really interesting to see the results of the research, having been a part of it, and to sort of see where you fit in the spectrum of many other foundations. For me, the key learnings, if I was to have sort of one takeaway, is that I think what we're always clear about is that it doesn't really matter if you have a foundation structure or another structure. The most important thing is to be very clear about what you want to achieve. And so where we talk about blurring those lines between companies and foundations or using other vehicles to do it, I think the most important thing is knowing what you're setting out to do at the beginning and having a very clear plan to do that. But as ever, it's been really informative, and I look forward to seeing the full report.